Hello everyone, and welcome to another oil painting video. This is John with John Monarsic Fine Art, and today we're going to do something a little bit different than we've been doing. First of all, I'm doing the voiceover as opposed to doing it live. And second of all, I am going from an actual drawing. It's a little more detailed than a sketch, but it is definitely a drawing. You can see mountains, twin waterfall. It's actually a very nice it's a very nice drawing, and the painting comes out pretty good. You're going to see a couple of good things that I left in here. I didn't edit anything out, and I usually don't, and I don't know if that's a mistake or not. But you're going to see the struggles I had in the first shoot, at least 60% of this video, this painting, trying to get some elements right, and it was just fighting me the whole way. The sky was no different. The sky was being a pain in the neck as well. But I wanted to keep them in there and not edit them out, because anybody that is thinking about getting into oil painting, or any kind of art for that matter, needs to understand that rarely does it ever go well from start to finish. There's always going to be areas that are, a pain in the neck. And if you see me doing that with your little flick in there, that just means the bristles are falling off of my brush. And there was quite a few of them in the beginning. Like I said, this was a lot of fun, but it got frustrating where it usually doesn't when I paint. Yeah, there's always struggles, but this one was just getting to the point where I was going like, son of a gun. Here I wanted to do a little bit more than just a blue sky. So basically, I've got cerulean blue, French ultramarine, permanent alizarin crimson, and titanium white. And I've got a nice little mixture of each. In a little bit, I'm going to put some clouds in with titanium white and Payne's gray as well. So there's going to be a little bit of action in the sky, a little bit of color, kind of set the tone for the whole painting. And this is kind of like a out west type of painting. It's going to have a little bit of mountain where my hand is right there, then a lot of, pine trees in front of it. And then it's going to have some big waterfalls kind of right in the center of it. But it was a fun painting to do, like I said, overall. But there are some areas that are they were getting annoying. Anyhow, I hope everybody was having a good weekend. I know I was. Anytime I get to paint, it was a good weekend. This particular one, I normally do my paintings for videos on Sundays and then upload on Sunday pretty much right afterwards. And this week I had a lot of stuff going on Sunday morning, so I decided to shoot the video on Saturday and edit it and then upload it on Sunday like normal. So I'm doing the 2 times the speed. So this took me about almost an hour real time. So this is going to be 25 minutes or so roughly. I'm not going to speak through the whole thing. I don't know if you guys like when I talk a lot or not. If there's something I think you need to know, if I was like, starting out oil painting and it's something I wanted to know, then I'll say something, but I don't want to, bore you to death with my voice either. The clouds are really getting easy for me for the small clouds. I don't know how to do cloudscapes. I never had a desire to. I like action in my skies, but I don't like that to be my focal point. I'm mainly into water, fresh water. So waterfalls and streams and rivers and stuff are, my deal that I take a lot more time with. But clouds like this, you put it in with the fan brush, you tap it, and then you use that bristle brush, clean bristle brush, to maneuver the paint around. Now, you don't want to go with heavy pressure on it because you're going to blend it with the wet sky color that's underneath. So you want to basically graze the paint. And what that's going to do is it won't blend it. What it will do is it'll move the paint around. It'll allow you to manipulate the paint, push it where you want, and kind of structure it where you want everything to be. And then at that point in time, you'll see what it is. Okay, now the sky was the first slight problem. This mountain is going to be the next one. I highlighted this thing like 2 or 3 times. I don't remember. And then I finally got a highlight that I liked. And then the mountain on the right was a pain. The waterfall was a pain. The whole thing was a pain, and I still had fun. Gives you an idea how warped I am, or can be. Now, one of the things that you're going to look at, too, is there's a little bit of purple in there. And there is. The mountain color is alizarin crimson, a little bit of French ultramarine, Payne's gray, and dioxazine purple. Probably a little bit more Payne's Gray than anything else, but all those are mixed in. I just wanted a real nice dark. And then when I do put highlights on it, which I'm attempting to here, it's going to really be obnoxious, but you'll see me change them as I go. It really shows the colors nice. I don't like my mountains to be all black, all brown, whatever. I like them to have a little bit of variety in there, and having a lot of colors like that really does help. Okay, I'm using the palette knife if you don't know what I'm doing, and I'm putting Payne's Gray, straight Payne's Gray on my blade. And I'm just trying to get in some of those little shadow areas on the sides, so you can see light, dark, and so on. And that's going to help it look a lot more realistic, but that's what I'm doing. I'm just tapping those in with the right part of the blade of that particular palette knife, and we're going to go from there. I don't know where you are when you're watching this, but I am in the western suburbs of Chicago. So Saturday was absolutely beautiful weather. It was a little touch chilly, maybe 53 degrees, 54. No wind, like we've had a lot of wind this spring. So it was just a light breeze, sunshine all day. My wife and I did a little bit of yard work. We had a lot of rain, so part of my yard is still flooded and like a marsh. But the part that wasn't, we were able to rake some leaves and get some branches that fell off the trees and put them in our fire pit and burn them and stuff. But it was funny, too, because we went to bed last night thinking, wow, that was great. We woke up today and it was raining and sunny and sideways rain and sunny. 30-mile-an-hour winds. It's just a little bit of everything. My apologies for walking across the camera here, but the way my studio is set up, I can't go behind the camera. And I had to go and, to be quite honest with you, I had to change the music. The CD was running out on my Jimmy Buffett CD, so I had to do that. And I couldn't get around the back of the camera without messing it up. So I just said, okay, forgive the intrusion, and I went in front. So there you have it. Full transparency. Now, tomorrow, Monday, the 8th of April, we're supposed to be in my area sunny and 71 degrees, I believe. So that's going to be nice if it does come up to that. Sunny and 71 is something that anybody in the Midwest or the northern part of the U.S. long about this time just craving. You get cabin fever probably mid-March. Can't wait to go out and enjoy the warmth. And in this area, it doesn't get warm for a while. Okay, so what am I doing here? Some of this is going to be grass. Some of this is going to be background for forest. We're going to have a lot of fir trees in this thing. Okay, a lot of those. And that's going to cover up a lot of what you see there right now. And the focal point is still going to be this major waterfall in the front here. But I wanted the background to really be this lush forest. And the trees themselves are going to be much darker in value. Even though they're going to be a similar color to what you're seeing there, the value is going to be considerably darker. The ones I'm tapping in now, you can see I got blue in there. These are the exception. These are going to be faint, but you're going to barely see them through the rest of the forest. And the reason I do this, and a lot of artists do, is we want depth in our work, okay? So we're going to make these real faint so they look like they're in the distance. And you're not going to see all of it, but you will see a little bit through the darker foreground trees. And the whole trick is, just like in real life, you're not going to see the entire forest in the back, but you are going to see bits and pieces of it. And that's what this is. So I tapped them in with the brush one way, and now I'm tapping them just to kind of blend and diffuse the paint to make it real light. And then that way, they're distant trees. Now this is Payne's Gray that I'm just flicking up. And the reason I'm doing this is I want a divider. Okay, and I just screwed up there. I hit the mountain. When you screw up, paper towels to the rescue. So whenever you're doing any kind of painting, listen to me. Painting sounds like I don't know what it sounds like actually. But anyways, when you're doing a painting, whether it's with watercolor, oils, gouache, acrylics, doesn't matter. you want to have different planes. And you split up the planes by some kind of a line that's not a line. And what I mean by that is you don't want to just draw a straight line, but you do need something to break it up. So those distant, smaller trees are darker, and those darker ones, okay, are splitting, let's say, the partial midground to the way, way background. So now you see distinct planes. So if you look on the right side, you've got the way distant, then you've got the Payne's gray trees that are smaller but darker, and then you've got the grass in front of it. So those are three distinct planes right there. You also have the mountain on the left, which is the fourth plane, this little clump of rocks, which it will be. So these are the planes that you have for depth. Okay, now we can finally start to put the water in. I know I promised I wasn't going to talk throughout the whole thing, but it kind of gets away from me. I enjoy talking about art and paintings and stuff like that, so bear with me. For some stupid reason, I'm using, with this big painting, a fan brush to put in all of the water, and that stops after a while. I finally look at it and go, what the heck am I doing? And I get a 1.5-inch bristle brush to finish it up. And speaking of a rather large painting, this isn't huge, but it is a 14 by 18. I've been doing, if you've been following my channel, a lot of, well, not a lot, but several 8 by 10s lately. And I just wanted to go a little bit bigger today. I didn't feel like that little 8 by 10. So I got the 14 by 18. Also, this is not stretched linen like I've been using. This is the Ampersand Gessobord. And this is a great, absolutely great surface to paint on. I absolutely love it. It is my all-time favorite. I paint it on almost every surface I can get my hands on. The cheap stuff, the expensive stuff, whatever. And what I like about it is it's got a fine tooth. It does have enough tooth, okay, to put your painting in layers, especially when you're doing alla prima like I do. But it's just a rigid board. I have a couple of 18 by 24s, and they do not warp. These are only 1/8-inch panels, okay? So they're only an 1/8 inch thick. And every board I used to try was warping after you got over 11 by 14. And this doesn't. So that's part of it. The other part of it is the tooth is similar to a linen weave as far as the texture. And I love linen, but I prefer the rigid board. You don't have to worry about, using the stretcher keys if it starts to loosen up, or, use your water bottle and, spray some water on the back of it to have it tighten up a little bit. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff when you're using hardboard. And this is a gesso hardboard that Ampersand uses. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, so they have no idea I even exist. So if you buy this, you're paying the same price I am. I just love it. I've tried for many years different supports. It's not expensive if you use the 1/8 inch panel. They also have, I think it's 3/4, 1.5, and 2.5 maybe inch depth panels. Those can get pricey, but I don't use those. I like and prefer the 1/8 inch. And the reason I do is because a lot of my clients like hanging it up like you see it here on their walls. They'll use like something this big. They'd use, see in the very upper right corner, that in the bottom right corner, those are little Velcro squares. And that's my main board that I do my panels on. Because if you don't have it on there, doing it on the bottom, you can't hold it anywhere like you could stretch canvas and you have that depth. So this is the board I use. But anyways, people use those little squares, and they put 4 of them, all 4 corners of the painting, and they'll hang it on the wall as is. And they get that real nice, clean, flat look. And then probably, 40% of my clients say they actually pop them into photo frames. They'll take out the glass, which you should do for an oil painting because I seal them. And these fit into standard photo frames, and they enjoy them and hang them on the wall that way. So I give my clients, a couple of different ways to display their art. And some of the smaller works I do, like 6x8s and 5x7s, there's a couple of people that just put them on little easels and put them on their desk at work and stuff. So the panels I'm sold on, the 1/8 inch, and the Ampersand product, I've been a fan of theirs for a long time. So it's really a fun product to paint on, and it doesn't absorb in like on canvas, so the colors stay a little brighter, and it's a real nice surface to paint on. If you ever want to give it a try, get like an 8x10 or an 11x14. You can get them at dickblick.com, jerrysartorama.com, whichever your preference would be. And, I think an 8x10 is like $10.49 or something. So it's not cheap, but it's not, ridiculous. It's not going to break the bank. And then where are we at now? We are moving along pretty good. I've got the base of the water in, as you can tell. And the waterfall is coming from two different directions. And actually, there's 3. There's one on the right, one in the big one right in the front, towards the left, and then that littler one a little bit in the distance. And like I said, if you follow my channel at all, you go to my website where my paintings are for sale and stuff, my blog, you'll notice that I love water and waterfalls in particular. Now I'm just highlighting rocks. See, here's the thing. You just put this blob of dark down, and then you put highlights on, put them in different little shapes and thicknesses and all this other stuff, and you've got some nice, believable little rocks. You don't have to do a lot to get there. And then we got a strip of cliff on the very left of the main waterfall. See how I'm doing that? That's like the third time I'm working on that little clump of rocks there that just hasn't worked out. I wanted those to be more like sheer, not like the rocks that are, on the bottom right there. And it was just messing with me all day. So I finally get them good, and then I cover most of it with the foreground tree. So it's like, okay, I couldn't win on that one. Now I'm just putting in a little bit of highlight right here. It's just yellow ochre onto that dark color for the rocks. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's all I'm going to do on that one. The next thing I'm going to do is put in the waterfall. Like I said, I've got all the underpainting for it done. Yeah, I didn't go up high enough initially. It's important that you keep those straight. They can veer off front to back a little bit if you look at it from the side, but you want them reasonably straight right to left unless there's something in there to impede its movement. And this one, because of how fast that water has to be moving to have the waterfall actually go like that, I just had fun with it. I wasn't trying to be precise. I just wanted to show movement. And then when you go over your work, fix it and move on. Now the next part was going to be a little tricky. I needed to show enough water falling over those rocks to justify that fall coming on that flat left side. But I didn't want so much water where those rocks right in that middle of the painting go away either. So I'm using mainly the side of my fan brush, and I'm just putting the water spilling over in many areas. So I wanted to make sure you could still see the rocks, but I wanted to make sure I had enough water falling over to justify what that is. And then there's also going to be water from under the rocks to the sides of it and stuff like that you can't really see. But I want it to look like, hey, this is doing something. I apologize for taking so long with this part. I'm just washing my brushes. Now that I got everything clean, I can start. Okay, now this one is going to fill up a lot. So what my whole plan is, okay, is I want the different planes, okay, like I keep talking about. So I'm going to make the thickest and the biggest of these pine trees in the front, and the ones that aren't as thick and as big towards the back. Now you see on the right, so let's say middle and then move all the way to the right. You see how you got all those pines in there, but you can still see the background? That's what I meant by the depth of the forest, okay? You want to be able to see a little bit of what's behind those trees to understand that it's a dense forest that Yogi Bear would be proud to live in. And if you are not at least 50 years old, you probably don't know who Yogi Bear is. And if you're under the 50 years old and you know who Yogi Bear is, my apologies, I wasn't trying to insult you. But Yogi is from my generation. Okay, now, this is lemon yellow I'm putting on. I'm not going to leave it just lemon yellow. I don't want it that bright. But I wanted to put it on to get an idea of where everything was. And what I mean by an idea, look at how much dark I have in so many areas, okay? So when I put the yellow on and I got that real harsh contrast, then I know where things start and stop and where I like it starting and stopping. See how I'm already darkening it up a little bit? You know, I want some of the yellow to shine through, okay, because it's sunlit. But I don't want it to be just, you need sunglasses to watch it. And the other part of it is I'm going to also be putting in more of these trees, so that's going to cover a decent amount. You know, the whole thing with painting, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things to it. But one of the things that we do as artists is give the illusion of depth. Give the illusion of a three-dimensional object, in this case a landscape, on a two-dimensional surface, the wood. And you do that with depth of field. You do that with color change. You do that with light and darks and stuff like that. And now all that really bright grass that we had, now it's only in parts. Now it's not in the whole picture plane on the left. The pine trees broke it up. The dark that I put horizontally before the pine trees went in broke it up. So now it doesn't look like you need sunglasses just to look at the grass. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same yellow and I'm going to highlight some of the trees, mainly the ones in the front. Now you got yellow on real close to that other yellow, so that's not going to look too good. But one of the main colors in those trees is Payne's Gray, which is a very, very dark blue. So what I'm going to do is after I use that 2-inch, actually no, it's a 1.5, to put the thick yellow paint on, I'm going to use a fan brush afterwards, and then I'm going to tap over the same stuff. No paint on the brush. Tap over the same ones. And then it's going to be a green highlight as opposed to yellow. There's going to be very little yellow showing on the trees. It'll be more green, and then it'll look a lot more appealing. But sometimes you got to just get that layer on first. And there I go with the fan brush. And just go straight into it. Blend it as best you can. And with the wet paint, it's not that difficult. There we go. This painting's coming along real nice. Got to clean up a little bit of that water where I put some, I got a little sloppy and some of my grass went in there. If that was a still pond, I would leave it because there's a lot of times leaves and stuff fall in a pond. But when you got water moving this quickly, it's not going to stay there for more than a half a second before it just goes all over the place. So you want to try to make, I don't want hyperrealism in my work, but I want it somewhat realistic to where you look at it and you don't think it's, something that can't exist. Okay, now, one of the things I'm going to be doing, not this second, but very soon, because we're almost done, is I'm going to be putting in one of my favorite wildflowers, and that's bluebells or bluebonnets. I'm not sure what they're called. One or the other. We get them around this time of the year in the Chicagoland area. And my wife and I went to the Arboretum in Lisle, Illinois, yesterday. And they were out in force. It's got this beautiful blue color to them. And I put those in a lot of my paintings. I just love them. And there they go. And they grow in clumps. Some of them have a little bit of height to them. Some of them are just sprawled on the ground. At the Arboretum, they're all over the place. And what I did was, for this painting, I put them all over the place. So, that is it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. Every Sunday, I put a new video on YouTube. And tomorrow is April 8th. It's supposed to be 71 degrees in the Midwest, well, in the Chicagoland area. So I hope everybody has a great work week. I hope everybody enjoys the weather and stay safe.